Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I am Prakash Zog. We've been talking of Buddhism, and today I'm going to discuss the Arya ashtangik marg, a part of the fourth Arya Satya. In fact, that extended itself is the fourth Arya Satya. It is important beyond religion because it is something that every individual good human being must follow and practice. Should be a guideline for all of us. And that's why we need to lay stress on it. Gautam Buddha himself has given a sequence of the eightfold path that he is talked of. Sometimes each of these concepts is split into four subparts, making it a total of 8 into 4, that's 32. That's referred to in some of the books. There's a second aspect. Buddha initially talks of the ashtangik marg or the eightfold path as applied to his ideas of Buddhism directly. And then invariably he generalizes the ideas, and we also need to look into its implications. So that's what we will do. This ashtangik marg, Arya ashtangik marg, is a practical guide to ethics, mental rehabilitation, and mind deconditioning from all its ill effects. Each of these begins with the word samyak, originally Sanskrit. It means multiple meanings: perfect, ideal, complete, uh, all inclusive, correct, etc. So, whenever we talk of this, you should keep all these ideas behind in your mind. Of course, this summit is as per Buddha's viewpoint in the initial parts. Uh, each of these is expected to take uh, the mean path and not go to extremes in any case. One is expected to make as much progress as possible in each of them simultaneously, because these are things that you must follow. They are not actually roads. Once you take one of them, you can't go to the others. So let's begin. The first one is known as Samyak Drushti. I'll not use the Pali words but the original Sanskrit ones. It means correct outlook. It also means comprehensive or appropriate outlook. Samyak Drushti uh, must develop the right attitude towards the four Arya Satyas, the three Ratnas, the Panchashil, and towards the proper understanding of all of them, including the Ashtangik Marg and some of the major ideas like the 12 concepts that have been mentioned later on. We will talk of them also. Um, then there are some other aspects associated with this Samyak Drushti. One must not believe in miracles. One must not believe in God, Brahma, Atma, or Vedas if he has to be samyak in his approach. That's what Gautam Buddha said. In each case, Buddha gives a direct relation to his own philosophy of what I have just mentioned. And then, as I said, we can look into the generalization. He also mentions that it is due to avidya, that is improper or lacking of knowledge, that one's outlook towards many things may be wrong. It could also be due to giving improper importance to wrong things or due to attachment of one's emotion to wrong things. As the four subparts that I mentioned, it could be the normal outlook towards anything, the false outlook, the comprehensive outlook, or the supernatural understanding of things that are around us. So that gives you the four subparts that I did mention. We must understand what is real, what is false, what is impermanent, what is everlasting. One must have the ability to differentiate between all of these. And there could be tricky situations where what should an individual chase? Whether he should chase wealth or fame. And that obviously is going to depend upon your outlook. One must develop the ability to see the reality behind what is obviously seen. That too without being influenced by desires, cravings, lust. So everything has to be unbiased. We should not have concepts of uh, Brahmins and Kshatriyas and males and females. And all these influences one's outlooks, says Gautam Buddha. One must rise above all of them. Even in case of voting nowadays, uh, we have our own outlooks, but one must have what is known as samyak drushti, the right approach and the right outlook towards whom to vote for. Let's come to the second one. It's known as samyak sankalpa, right commitment, proper intent. This is right. This is what I shall do, is something that one must promise him oneself, is what Gautam Buddha says. Buddha first says, determine, make a determination to follow the four Arya Satyas, the Panchashil, the ashtanga marg, and all the others that I mentioned. He later adds that I will show compassion and plan to show compassion and love for everything that is living. I will decide to give up all cravings. I will give up the cravings that arise due to all my senses. Whatever is correct, I shall do it. And it must be followed up by consistent karma, efforts, and actions. Samyak is the beginning, and it is to the end of the walk that we must talk of. Think of what we do, how we plan. On the 1st of January, we decide that I would start walking 5 kilometers a day. I'm busy on the 1st, so I start on the 2nd. And by the 3rd and the 4th, it has trickled down to something minimum. So in around 5 days, my samyak sankalp or planning has gone haywire. If I have diabetes, I need to cancel out on all the chocolates. But then I say, okay, one is good enough. And so my sankalpa again goes to dogs. So Buddha also talks of asamyak sankalpa, wrong determinations, to prove one's own superiority, to harm others. I'll defeat him. I'll become richer than him. All these are said to be wrong determinations that a person must have, wrong sankalpa. And the third one is known as samyak vak, proper speech, proper utterances. Buddha says you must be truthful. Your words should not be different from your thoughts. Speak softly, he says. Speak less. Speak only as much is necessary. And don't harm anyone by your words. Don't use harsh words. Don't indulge in unfruitful dialogue. Don't gossip. Something that's true and correct at Buddha's times and even today. We face the same problems because of them. The next one is samyak karmanta. Do only that action, that karma, which results ultimately in good. Good for all around. Buddha talks of three bad karmas: killing, coveting, and taking unlawfully anything that is not yours. He also mentions of sensual pleasures as one of the factors. Avoid them, for their final outcome is always bad, is what Gautam Buddha has advised. And there is another aspect. Complete whatever task is at your disposal, completely and properly. Don't waver due to others' influence. It's like taking a particular path and you're along the road and somebody says, no, 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 why don't you go by this road? And so you suddenly divert to another one. And there somebody says, oh, that's wrong. You might as well go by the other route. And then you're lost and you say, finally give up. Don't do that. Reach karmanta. That is the final destination of your karmas. Determination and consistently uh, being active can ensure successful culmination of every activity that you do. And the next one, the fifth one, is samyak ajiv, choice of proper profession. Buddha says your source of livelihood or your income must not lead to be harmful to others. It must be srujanatmak ajivika, is what he says. A positively productive profession, good for everyone. There's no dignity of labor for a thief or a thug because that's going to lead into trouble for everybody else. And today, a lawyer saving a known killer or a person who's manufacturing counterfeit drugs or currency for that matter, all these are samyak ajiv. The story of Valmiki is an example of all this, even prior to what Buddha said. And later on, Chanakya says that your wealth must be chaste. There, he talks of reap as you sow, and in Hindi, as it is called, boe so paye, means all the same thing. You would get back what you have sown. So your fruits will be as you have put in your efforts. And it is this efforts in a different level that he talks of in the next one, which is known as Samyak Vyayam. Nowadays, everybody talks of Vyayam as exercise, but this has a different explanation even then. It is, in fact, proper efforts, more of the mental caliber. Remove bad thoughts, prevent them from entering your mind, bring in good thoughts, and retain them. These four steps deal with more of mental cleansing. It's difficult, says Buddha, but it is possible, and that would take efforts. It is natural to have thoughts. The first step is to realize that some of our thoughts are not right. Only them, some control over them can be attempted. And the seventh is samyak smruti, right memory, mindfulness. Buddha says one must consistently remember the four Arya Satyas, the Panchashil, the Panchamahavrat, the Ashtanga marg, Dwadasha Nidan, and so forth, the ones that I have been mentioning. He also says, don't forget that everything is impermanent. Forget what is worthless. Remember only what is worthwhile. Do not forget your ultimate goal and objective, and that is nirvana, freedom from all grief and sorrow, and from rebirth. We remember so many irrelevant things and forget many of the things that are really important because we are already burdened with wrong memories. It is this cleansing of mind that is equally important. And the last one is known as Samyak Samadhi. Samadhi has many interpretations, even prior to Buddhism, because it's a part and parcel of the Indian philosophy from ages. But Buddha basically implies ideal mental peace to prevent all external mental interactions and acquire ultimate mental state of peace and calm is what Buddha suggests. Get disconnected from all outer sorrows. Achieve, in fact, what is known as nirvana. It is a state of heightened internal self awareness and peace, according to Gautam Buddha. Buddha also says that during this stage, think only of the basics, think only of the Buddha Dharma. This state, by the way, is slightly different from the original earlier Hindu philosophy. For there, it is a state of bliss, ultimate happiness. It's not just being calm, it is being permanently in a state of bliss. Satchidanand, as it is said. Increasing your attitude of indifference to all factors, emotional and physical, is what is expected in this state. Detachment from everything and internal commitment to yourself. In Buddhism, it is a state of tranquil and calm. In Hinduism, it is more of a state of bliss. And then let me remind you, it is also different from what is sometimes talked of as Jada Samadhi, a state due to external factors resulting into indifference from everything. Coma is one that we talk of nowadays. Or the second and more dangerous is being under the influence of drugs or many other factors. For there you are at your lowest mental state rather than being at your highly elevated heightened state. The steps in the Eightfold Path are to be attempted simultaneously. You need to strive to reach as high as possible in each of them. And it's really beyond this question of whether it is a part of the Buddhist Dharma or the social practice that every individual good person must follow. It is believed that these eightfold paths represent the eight spokes of the wheel of dharma, and it is these that everyone is expected to follow. Let us understand and realize its importance and put it to practice, even if we are not a part and parcel of the Buddha Dharma. For it is this that is good for the good of all. If you have liked whatever I have said, please tell your friends about it. Like and subscribe to this channel. Let me know your comments. Let us all try and follow this ashtangik marg, the eightfold path towards the development of every individual. And there is something known as the pratitya samutpad, the chain of events that leads to sorrow. That is something that I will talk of next time. Till we meet again, Namaskar.